composition of shapes. Area of irregular shapes. Our first step is to separate the irregular shape into shapes with known formulas. And our step 2 will be to add the area of the shapes together. So let's look at example 1. Example 1. Find the area of the shape below. So you can see that we have 3 distinct shapes. So we have a triangle here, a triangle here, and a square here. And so what we need to do is break this into the 3 different shapes in order to find the areas of each one, and then we will add them together. So let's first handle the square, or the parallelogram. And so we remember that the square, or parallelogram, has an area which is equal to length times the width. So when we plug that in, we get 1 times 1. So 1 times 1, which is just equal to 1. And this is millimeters squared. We'll box it so we know that we need to add it to at the very end. And so now we have a triangle. Let's do the top triangle. So the area of a triangle is 1/2 base times the height. So how to calculate this? We get 1/2. Now, our base of this triangle is just 1 millimeter. And then our height, which is right here, is given by right there, which is 2. So we get 1 times 2 and then divided by 2. So that is just equal to 1 millimeters squared. Another quick way to do this, when you multiply, these are common factors and they can cross out and leave it just as 1. So now let's do the bottom triangle. So it's the same formula. So we'll just write it again. We'll just put BH for base times height. So we get 1/2, and then the base is right here, which is still 1. Now the height is right here, which is given right here. So it's times 3. So what we need to do is then go 1 times 3, which is 3, and then we'll just divide it by 2, as it's the same thing as multiplying it by 1/2, and we get 1.5 millimeters squared. And so when we need to add all of them together, we're going to add all 3. So we get 1 plus 1 plus 1.5, which gets us to 3.5 millimeters squared. And this would be the area of our shape above. So let's do one final example. Find the area of the shape below. Once again, we have 3 different shapes that we can break it into. So we have a half circle because we know the area of a full circle. So we can just divide it by 2 then. And then we have this rectangle and a triangle. So let's go ahead and start off with the circle. So the circle area formula is pi r squared, meaning the radius. So we can plug this in, 3.14. Now we notice that this is the diameter of our circle. And so to find the radius, we take the diameter and divide it by 2. So r becomes 2. And then it's squared. So let's get our calculators out. I'm going to go 3.14 times 2 times 2, which is 12.56. But we need a half circle. So what we need to do is take the area of the circle and divide it by 2. So we get 12.56 and then divide it by 2. So we'll just take this number, divide by 2, and we get 6.28. And this is millimeters squared. So we'll box it so we know we can add it at the very end. Now we have a rectangle. So the area is the length times the width. So we get the length for how long it is right here, which is 10, times our height, which is 4. So 10 times 4 is 40. And then it's millimeters squared. Next we have the triangle. So the area is 1/2 times the base times the height. So we can see that we have 1/2 times, so our base here is right here. So it's the 5. So we put 5 right there. And then our height is the 4. So what we can do is go 5 times 4 divided by 2, which is just 10. And then the total area of this whole shape is by adding all of them together. So we have 6.28 plus 40 plus 10. And we get 56.28 millimeters squared. And this would be the area of the shape above.